Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You are back at it again with another episode of the Young and the Rowdies. I'm your host, Patric Young, and I just want to thank you guys for coming out and joining me along this journey. I have a super special episode today, and this one is an honor for me because I named this show, The Young and the Rowdies, after the Rowdy Reptiles. And I thought, what other way to honor the Rowdies than to bring a representation of the Rowdies onto the show? But before we get into that, thank you guys all for diving in. I know the podcast market is super saturated. So those of you that dive into this niche and listen to my podcast, thank you so much, especially if you're not even a Gator fan. But if you're a Gator fan, please share this with someone that you think would appreciate it. Who knows? Maybe you will be next on the show. I have a lot of autonomy with this show as long as it's around Florida Gators something. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into episode 12 as we introduce some Rowdies. First and foremost, we have Miss Elena Jones, we have Sam Lick, and we have Christian White. How is everyone doing today?
Doing great.
Good. Doing great. I guess the context of today, since we're actually recording this the day of the game against Cal Berkeley, what's the prediction? You know, because this is going to come out on Thursday. So you got two games to predict. You got to predict tonight, and then, of course, you're going to predict us winning it all on Wednesday. But what's the prediction from you guys as the Rowdies?
I think we win by at least 20 tonight, and then on Wednesday we follow that up and hopefully beat a top 25 team.
What did the new rankings come out yet? Are we still?
Yeah, we moved up one spot. We're 23rd.
Okay. Yeah, no reason we can't win. But let's go ahead and introduce each and every one of you guys. As you know, tell us. I'll start with ladies first. We'll start with where you're from, just general, what people don't. Tell us a little funny fact. Tell us about what year in school, what you're studying, being a Rowdy Reptile, all that. Whatever you want to dive into. The mic is yours. Go as long, as short as you want.
Yeah, so I'm Elena Jones. I'm this year's Rowdy's treasurer. I'm a junior exercise physiology major from Amelia Island, Florida, and just proud Rowdy Reptile, proud Gator fan. Wasn't raised a Gator, but quickly jumped on the bandwagon after my first game in the swamp. And I love everything about UF and Gainesville and just the culture of Gator Nation. So really excited for this season.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. What do you mean you jumped? Like, what were you before? You have a conversion story I'm hearing.
I do have a conversion story. So my mom's from Kentucky. My family's from Kentucky. I was raised a Kentucky fan. So to leave to be the Big Blue Nation, to come to Gator, that was a big thing. But I'm a Gator through and through now. So
how did they feel in 2014 when we beat them 3 times?
It was rough. Yeah. I've been to every game in the O-Dome, Kentucky, Florida, since I was like 8 years old. So
dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I made the transition, and here I am.
So what year are you now?
I'm a junior this year.
Junior. That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining. Can't wait to dive in a little bit more. Christian, talk to me.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go with Sam, but my name is Christian. I am a sports management major. I'm in my 5th year. I'm almost done. Some would say I stayed in the 5th year just for basketball. I just love the academics too. I'm originally from Miami, so I kind of grew up around hurricanes my young life. But I moved to Ocala when I was 8, so then I was like really close to Gainesville, and I moved right after both of the basketball championships and both of the football championships. So everything was Gators there. So I kind of grew up with it around me. And then when I got into UF, like, it was just like pretty surreal. And to get to go to a game, my first game was when I was in college. So
oh, wow.
It was pretty surreal. Yeah. Like everyone always talks about that experience in like a big SEC, big school, like environment. And it kind of blows you away.
when did you like? Well, I guess I'll ask that one later. But it had to be like the timing in which you started following, and then the back-to-back championships. You probably thought like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen all the time.
It was not happening for a long time. Yeah,
especially with football being really good at that time as well. Gosh, how we have
my first year as a student was the last year of McElwain. So like my first SEC game was the Hail Mary win against Tennessee. I was like, wow, this is going to be amazing all the time. And and we play Samford at home, and that's always fun.
And then Trayon Harris.
Oh no.
Out.
It's blocked. I'm on to the next.
Honestly, I think we might be like, we might have taken McElwain for granted. He had like a 50% winning percentage. No.
I don't know. What like Mullen had been like the fastest to a certain number of wins, like -1 compared to Urban Meyer, and then went 2-6 in SEC play this year. So anything can happen.
We're gonna talk about football in a little bit. We're gonna talk about sore subject. Samford. Gosh. My man Sam, what's happening? Talk to me.
Hey, I'm Sam. I'm a fourth year at Florida, so a senior on my last year. I'm a biomedical engineering major from Clearwater, Florida, and I'm the proud president of Rowdy Reptiles for this year. I grew up a Gator. My mom went to Florida. So I've always been, my family surprisingly was just big as a basketball family because we were football. And like from Florida, that's pretty rare. I feel like most people prefer the football, but we've always watched every basketball game growing up. And my mom's favorite player actually is Patric. So
that's cool.
On this podcast.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So the question I was going to ask earlier is, the season just started. Full capacity, coming back to the game, sense of normalcy. How tough was last year not being able to, because you guys are all upperclassmen, how tough was it not being able to come out to Exact Tech, and what did you do obviously you're watching the games, but just I'll start with you, Elena. What was your experience with not being able to come? Obviously, you guys all love the Gators, coming to the games, the experience. I'm sure it had to be surreal this year, especially after beating Florida State at home. That had to be so cool. But obviously last year sucked, but I'd love to hear from your own words.
Yeah, so last year I wasn't on Rowdy's exec. I know Christian and Sam got to go to majority of the games, I think, but the registration process, was hard with the limited capacity, and I only got to go to one home game, sitting up against the wall, like up in the very top level. So it was definitely sad, very sad experience. And, just watching it on TV at home is just not the same. It was a real damper on basketball season too. But yeah, we're glad to be back. I'm glad to sit in my front row seat again and be close with the team and have the impact like we do. So very excited about this season.
That's awesome. Yeah, good start so far. I truly think this is Coach White's best team that he's had in his tenure. And he had some, I don't know if this is his best shooting team, because I think when Igor was there and other kid whose name I can't remember, he transferred from Virginia Tech. He's the guy that can shoot the ball a lot. Gosh, can't remember his name. The guard.
Jalen Hudson.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was probably our best shooting team that Coach White has had. But this year, defensively, they're tough. It's going to be tough beating Kentucky, though. I'll be honest. Kentucky, I've been watching. Obviously, they got some animals on their team too. But yeah, Christian, Sam, how was it like? What was your experience last year without being able to come? And you guys were, you were on the board, so had to be like, were you still able to organize even people just, getting people together to watch the game at home when you couldn't go to attend?
So last year, luckily, Christian and I were able to get some tickets every game.
Okay.
We were able to go to the games, but like the atmosphere just wasn't the same. We were sitting 6 feet apart from the next Rowdy Reptiles or like students that were there. So we were able to use all of our combined voices to make any really real impact that I think we do, just like what you saw last weekend against FSU when we were screaming the whole game, and you could see the other team was a little frazzled by having that crowd there for the first time. So we were still able to go to the games outside of, obviously you can't organize big group events on campus for organizations last year. So really, we weren't really able to do much as an organization. We had a couple Zoom meetings, but for Zoom meetings, for our meetings, like only 20 people would probably show up. And when we were able to do in person, we were able to offer food for students, and students food. So we were able to get more like 50 people at those meetings when we were able to do them in person.
Wait, go ahead, Christian. Yeah.
Yeah, the games it was really weird. We were stuck behind the baskets and not like behind the broadcast desk like normally. Yeah, we were all split everywhere. It was just like we were normal fans. So we weren't really a student section. We were just next to some cardboard, cutouts. Yeah, that was cool. But at least we were behind the enemy bench, so we were still able to like get a little bit of heckling in. But
okay.
Yeah, it was still not the same atmosphere at all.
What made you? When did you guys both know? All three of you. This is one that just came to my mind as far as like being fans, and Alana's going to be different for you since this is your first year on. But when you guys realized that you kind of wanted to be a part of the Rowdy Reptiles and on the board, and like being the movers and shakers and setting things up, and like how did you know? Because you could just be a fan and just be a student fan and just be there. But how did you know that you actually wanted to dive in and like get involved in that way?
Well, me, Sam, and Matt, who's also on the executive board, we all met going to basketball games together. So like that kind of camaraderie of the whole group kind of makes you want to be more a part of it. Like seeing the old executive groups from the past, when I first started, they were so like tightly knit, and it felt like they were close to the team, that the team really did count on them, and they had an influence. And when we felt that influence, it's like, we have to be a part of it. Why can't we just be the ones, screaming our lungs off?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually a funny story how Christian, Matt, and we all walked up to the line at the same time for a Michigan State game our freshman year. I think we lost that game, but it was the football team all came in during the game, and we all went wild. And it was a great game. But we all three showed up, I think, at 6 a.m. for that game.
Wow.
And I think it was probably a 2 or 3 p.m. game. And we just were in line next to each other. So we started talking and became friends, and we saw the exec doing what they were doing, and we just wanted to follow suit. I mean, I wanted to be on exec since I remember. I always thought, that would be dope. I love watching the crowd interact. Like, the best part about college basketball has to be the student sections.
Man.
I mean, I don't watch that much NBA. I'm going to be completely honest. I mainly watch college basketball, and it's because I love the atmosphere that the students give. So I always knew, like, growing up, it would be dope to be on the exec of a student section somewhere, preferably Florida.
I can just think of, what do they call the Cameron Crazies? I mean, the Rowdy Reptiles are pretty awesome too, but the Cameron Crazies, they kind of started that tradition of the tents, and I mean, have you guys ever been to Cameron Indoor by chance?
I have.
It's so small. It's so small, and the fans are like right there. like you reach out and touch you. And one of the things that when I think about the Duke North Carolina game is the guy in the Speedo, the guy in the trench coat behind me. It's got to be the very first thought. But let's I guess for the average fan that wouldn't know wouldn't know what you guys do on a basis of planning and your roles. Can you dive into like something since this year is a lot more normal? What's some things that you kind of like plan and organize, and the roles and doing those things, if you don't mind, like explain it to me like I'm 5.
Yeah, so we have like general body meetings, usually about 3 or 4 throughout the season, and just kind of recruiting to like trying to get some people there, get as many students as possible. Usually there will be food like pizza or Tijuana Flats, something like that. And we go through like a presentation PowerPoint slide of the players, any new information that we have. If we're having a camp out for one of the big games coming up, and then we usually go through our dirt sheets for the opposing teams coming up, which I'll let Christian
Yeah,
go
well, Christian
into
needs to
that.
know.
But so yeah, we try to get the Rowdies together outside of the actual home games as well.
That's awesome. Well, since you brought it up, I don't want to leave the listeners hanging. Christian, please oblige us with their cheat, which I got a chance. You know, I met all three of these other people at the Milwaukee, Wisconsin game, and they were not good. Who was yelling every time the kid was missing? Were you yelling overrated every time?
Someone else was doing that every time Patrick Baldwin Jr. shot, or like during like his pregame, if he was missing, the guy in the crowd was just chanting overrated, and he would laugh.
It's great. I mean, it's even if you get in someone's head just because it's annoying.
Exactly.
He can hear that. He hears it.
But my position on the Rowdies is called research and development, which is just a fancy word for dirt. Dirt is like a sheet that we create with like different chants that we would have within the game and like follow our club and stuff like that. And on the other side is just dirt about the other players from the enemy team, like just anything that you can find about them, whether how bad they are as a player or just something weird about them as a person, maybe some scandal they used to be in, like LSU. For every season, LSU is FBI night for us because of the big scandal that they have. So we're always making sure to bring it up to them that they know that they still are being looked at by the FBI.
They're still being investigated? They're still an open FBI?
I'm surprised that's still...
It's been like 3 years, hasn't it? Or something like that? Gosh.
They're just waiting for people to forget about it, but we won't forget about it.
What goes into, what your research process, anything is fair game. If a person is willing to put it on the internet, it's literally fair game, because that just means you didn't want it to be private information. If you're putting all your stuff, your old tweets, whatever it may be, like, hey, it's fair. It is literally fair game.
Yeah, there's a private option for a reason. Like, if you want it to be public, that's your choice. They've signed their right away to say what they've said about whatever they've said. So we'll look about anything, even if back when they were in like middle school. Yeah, some of them forget to delete those old tweets or like get a new one when they start college. But some are smart enough to do that. They completely hide themselves. They don't want people to find old stuff because they know people like us exist, and they're scared. There are players who've been scared of us before. They clearly hide. But the ones who present themselves in a really weird light, we make sure to make note of them. That we'll tell them in the game.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to. I'll be there for the Stony Brook game in December. I have very high expectations. All right.
I'll make sure that one's extra good for you.
Make it extra good. Even though we're going to beat them by 50, I want to demoralize them too. Just go home, get everything fixed, because you shouldn't have came here to play us.
It doesn't matter who they are. If they're playing against us, we're going after them.
Love it. Sam, as head, talk to us. What's it like the day-to-day? Feeling, leading the Rowdies, leading the charge, making sure we got the juice every day for Exact Tech.
Yeah. So another big part of Rowdies, which Matt would be here talking about this because it's his job, we have a huge social media following. I think we have around 15,000-20,000 following around Instagram and Twitter. So we have Matt making all our memes for us. And then we also have to make sure at basketball games we are able to like police kind of the student line. So we don't have one person holding a spot for their whole fraternity in the line at UF games. So another thing is just making sure everyone's honest and making sure everyone's able to have that experience that they love to go to the Gator basketball games. So no one's having a crappy experience going to the game. So as students, that's part of our job. And then we also just got to be the biggest supporters of the team we can be, whether that's helping that or helping the marketing department with anything pregame to make the experience good, or whether we're just requesting different posters to be made that will cheer the team up or that are funny and that will give them a smile in the crowd, or just making sure the whole fan experience is good for our students is part of our big job.
That's awesome. And there's got to be an added, effort and just mindset and determination, because you couldn't do it last year. Couldn't do it to the extent, and almost it gives you more appreciation for what that, even though you couldn't do it to the same capacity, it gives you just more appreciation for being present and just like every game making the most of it. I would think, and just really having more passion into it, because truly when I was there my 4 years, especially my senior year, goodness gracious, the Rowdies, wow, they won the game. Kansas, I would say the Rowdies helped us win that game against Kansas. 1,000% helped us win the game against Auburn my senior year, because they were so loud. Everyone was so loud. Like the players looking at the coaches, the players looking at each other, throw the ball in bounds, don't even see the ball come in bounds, throws it out of bounds. And we go on like a 6-point swing because we were down like the whole game. And like I've played games without fans before, like even when I was in professional. And it's almost like it's just, you feel empty, kind of, it's not right for the players or the fans. It's not having, because without the fans, without the people that truly love the sport, love the team, love the fans, there's nothing glorified about it to that extent. So really, really cool that you guys can lead the charge, and hopefully we're have a great season this upcoming year. Before I talk about the season though, what's something that you would like to see? What's the interaction between like the players this year been so far? Have you guys had a chance to connect with the guy? I know it's really cool. I love after the game, because we never did that, walking down the sideline after the game and high-fiving the fans. That's got to be a really cool touch piece that you guys like.
Yeah. Our first meeting we were able to invite, I think we had 7 or 8 of the players come by, just introduce themselves, start asking them questions, who could dunk the best on the team, who was the best dancer and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And then after every game, get into give a high five to the players, which, we were able to do that, I think, my freshman, sophomore year too. But having that back and seeing the smiles on their faces when they walk through was the best thing. And we know we're giving them an impact, because last game you saw the players turn to us many times and just try to get us fired up, which was awesome to see again. Man,
that's so cool. It's so cool now that I'm kind of like in between, like literally it was in between between you guys and the court and the guy and the players, and to see the interaction. It's like 8 years since I've been able to do it in the same way in Exact Tech, but that's so cool.
No, we get those sweaty high fives, and they're the best. Like after the game, you wouldn't imagine how sweaty they are, but they're the best.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
They're dripping.
Front row kind of I feel that feeling that you're talking about, being in the middle. Like I feel that in front row. Like sometimes like we're just always screaming, but obviously I got to take a break from screaming. Sometimes my head will explode. But just standing there and just like not making a sound and just like hearing all the people behind me screaming, like being that close to the court, feels like you're on the court a little bit. It's surreal. Like I couldn't imagine what that feels like playing. Like how was that for you? Like in an environment that loud, like is it really that hard to do anything or call a play, or is it that tough?
So the toughest places that I play for, and I want to ask, Elena, have you been to any Kentucky? You've been to Kentucky games, I'm sure. Yeah.
I have. I've been to like 5 in Rupp Arena, and it's loud, but being there on front row at the O-Dome, it's pretty insane. It doesn't compare because Rupp's huge, but it's definitely like makes an impact for sure. And I know that at Kentucky, the student sections are behind the goals, and it's so hard to get a student section ticket at the home Kentucky games, and they don't have nearly as much of an impact as students.
They sure don't. You're right. Yeah, it is behind the goal, the baskets. Let me think. The games, I always struggle. Arkansas, man, believe it or not, playing in Bud Walton Stadium, the Razorback fans, man, they always gave me such a hard time. They would get especially when we went in there my last year, and we came back and when Scotty hit that big shot to beat Arkansas. But that place, much respect to the Razorbacks, and they're crazy. And I just thought about this. So Will, next time I interview Will, I'll make him bring this back up. He and we were in Arkansas. We're warming up. We're just, some guys split and do the court, or they're on at the basket doing drills, and some guys are at half court doing the stretching, going sideline to sideline. We're coming back down, Will and I just stretching because we're always together. And someone's like, "Hey, Will, you good? I'll kill you." He said, "What?" He's like, "What did I do? You're gonna kill me." That's something we always joke about. That we never. Missouri fans were pretty intense. They were nuts. They did research.
Arkansas fans seem like that, for sure.
But they were never good at basketball. But they came at you. Kentucky, just going into Kentucky, you got to have that mindset where you don't care what's true. Honestly, as a player, it's impossible to say like the crowd doesn't ever get to you. I think that you kind of just have to find a way to get yourself centered and focus on the present moment and what you're doing, so it can't take you away from doing your job. But the antics, the yelling, the shouting, the knowing the specific stuff that just kind of like, oh, ouch. That hurt my feelings. Why are you talking about my mama? Like that kind of stuff will really get, but honestly, nothing was crazier than when I was overseas in Greece. When I was overseas in Greece, there was no opposing team fans that could come to, the other team. Like when we were playing our rival team, it was Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. Olympiacos was the red and white team, Panathinaikos green and white, reds versus greens. And then when we would go play there, think of it, for me, because Rick Pitino was the head coach of this team in Panathinaikos at one point. And he himself, I think it holds about 22,000, this arena in Greece. And he was like, "This is crazier than anything I've ever experienced at Rupp Arena." Like the fans, we had to put a net up around in front of the fanatics because they throw stuff. They chant the entire game. They say things that I would never repeat.
Don't they have flares sometimes? Don't they have flares sometimes? I've seen.
Yes, they have flares sometimes. Yeah,
it looks insane what they do in Europe. It looks like they're at a soccer game.
Yeah, one game, or my last game actually, when I was in Greece, we were losing the last game of the playoffs to win, like the last championship. It was game 5 best out of 5, and we were losing by like 15. It was over. And our fans, it was like 3 minutes left. They started going crazy. They're throwing flares. They're throwing firecrackers. We had to run into the locker room and stay there for like 20 minutes so they would calm down or something. Like it was insane. And yeah, the stuff that they end up saying, because there was one game that I was out, I was injured, and I was sitting out with one of the young guys on our team, and it wasn't a big game, but our fans, they're fanatics, they chant. I'm sure you guys have seen soccer games before. They chant the entire game, and I'm like, "Young fella, what's happening, man? What are they saying?" And he's like, You really want to know? I was like, "Yeah, I want to know." He told me, it was like instantly like, "There's children here." They don't care. It's to that level. But let's switch it up a little bit. We've had, how many home games have we had now? We had Elon and Florida State. Is that it so far?
Embry-Riddle.
Yeah,
Embry-Riddle.
Exhibition game.
That's an exhibition.
And then Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee. That's right. Yeah, I was at the game.
Yeah.
Let's scratch that out. You didn't hear that. Very busy. I don't sleep enough. Before we move on, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now is the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one play through to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay Instant Approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season tipping off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Yeah. So takes expectations on this season, from a biased fan view, rowdy view. Tell me what are your expectations and thoughts?
I don't know. The SEC is looking pretty. The competition this year is going to be great. So I'm really excited to get into conference play. But I think we definitely have a very mature team this year with all of our new transfers that came in.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're starting to mesh pretty well together. Looks like a very tight-knit family unit kind of feel. So I definitely think that we can, compete against teams like Tennessee this year, Alabama, Kentucky. So just, we want to make the biggest impact that we can on them, and you just watch how they grow over the season, and hopefully we can make a run into March and continue on from there towards a chip.
Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know if I had too high hopes. I didn't know what to expect this year with all the transfers coming in, honestly. And then waiting to hear whether Key would play or not too was definitely keeping me questionable in the season. But this first 4 game, I don't think I've seen a defense play this well for this squad in a long time. And then seeing an older team again, I don't think we had this old of a team since that 2014 year with U4 seniors that played.
Right.
I think having a mature team in college basketball is very underrated. When I make my bracket in March, I always look for the oldest team for some
Oldest
reason.
teams.
Because I think that's a cheat code a little bit. So I'm excited to see how this team progresses throughout the year and meshes now that they're a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
I kind of had an old team my freshman year. My freshman year was the year before Andrew Nimhard. So I just had the last year of Chioza.
Okay.
And, the rest of them. And that felt like a really close-knit team. That's what drew me into Rowdies the most. It felt really connected because those guys have been there for that long. And I feel that a little bit with these guys, even the new guys. A lot of them haven't really played in environments like this. You can see the way that Brandon McKissick and Flanders get into the game because of where they used to play.
Yeah,
they're not used to those type of environments. They would get scheduled to play against big teams every once in a while. So for them, it seems like it's driven them in a way that they've never expected because they seem almost surprised by it themselves. Just the environment at FSU is probably one of the best, if not the best, since I've been as a student. Just because it had been that long since we beat them, and having last year the way that it was a pretty amazing environment, unmatched.
Yeah, I think you hit so many good points. The guys that transferred in, why do you transfer? You transfer because, just not just in general, you transfer because you don't like the playing time you're getting and you think you deserve somewhere else, or maybe just the style of play isn't fitting for you. Maybe you want to win. You were probably the best player. You just didn't have a chance to win. And I think every single guy that transferred to this team came here just because they want to win. Of course, they want to go to the NBA, think about the next level and all that stuff. Telling me every single college player thinks that they're going to go to the NBA, but there's only 60 that get selected per year. But I genuinely feel it, and I've gotten an inside look, an inside hand from the managers, the coaches from this team, and these guys just really love each other. They really just love and want to play for each other. And the stat book doesn't matter. It's so awesome seeing the passion. Brandon McKissick, whoo, he is it's crazy. And it's crazy. He had I think he was sick game day. I think he was the Milwaukee game. I think he was actually sick. And because I saw he was like, all I got to do is get some food in me and I'm going to go out there like a dog. And I'm like, dang. And he played he didn't have his best game, but that Florida State game, that he had. I mean, knocking down some big shots, the energy defensively. It was one play, he just took it out of Osborne's hand and just went coast to coast. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
this guy's awesome.
I think for the
What are
FSU
some
game, I think for the FSU game, a lot of them had the flu too. Like I saw
Yeah.
tweets about that. So, I mean, they were able to pull it together for that game, and it was awesome.
What are your takes on, you know, this transfer portal thing in the state of college basketball? It's kind of crazy. Not only that, I mean, that as well as NIL stuff. Now, what's your take on these new changes with college basketball, college sports in general?
I personally like it. I'm a sports management major, so like the last 5 years of that has like really kind of, it used to be like a dream 5 years ago. Felt like that wouldn't happen. And then now there's name, image, and likeness, and then Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC. You know what I mean?
Man.
It's crazy. Like everything's changing now. It's like there's like a future happening in that world of sport. But it's exciting. Like seeing players get to have merchandise for themselves. Like the players that have merch, like Appleby and McKissick, they like are thrilled that they have it and that they want to see other like students wearing it and that they'll sign it and stuff like that. So like I think it's doing good as a whole for all of sport. I don't think there's anything that's been negative that's come out of it since it started. Everything seems positive and people feel like they're getting what they deserve a little bit more now.
Like Ty Washington getting a Porsche.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He also has his own meal at some like CC's Pizza or something too now.
Yeah, I saw that. He had a really good game against Ohio. He played great.
I didn't watch it, but I heard they had a pretty slow start.
Well, Oscar Sheboy got 2 quick fouls. Shavir Wheeler, hey, that kid's good. He's a great point guard.
I didn't think he
play
was
with
going to be that good.
Huh?
I didn't think he was going to be that. I mean, I knew he was like definitely had potential watching him when he played with Georgia, but yeah, he's pretty explosive.
He didn't have all the pieces around him, but now he's got guys that he can pass the ball to, and they're going to finish and make shots. To play with a guy that was pass first like him, that would have changed my career drastically, because like I wouldn't have had to do anything. You just throw the ball up, catch and dunk.
You got to play with Anthony Edwards, right?
What's up?
I think you got to play with Anthony Edwards, right?
That's true. Yeah, they were just really bad.
Yeah, but them two together, like I could tell that from Severe. Like he like looks like he's really small, but he's kind of built like a Mack truck.
Yes.
Looks like his shoulders are a little bit high up on. He just kind of runs through people.
People.
Just giving him a little bit of space, he just attacks.
He's got a really good basketball IQ, you know, in knowing when to pass it and take his shots. But what about you, Sam?
I mean, I think the transfer portal this year is great. I mean, I love it. I don't like players should be able to just say, hey, I don't want to be at the school anymore. It's not good for me. It's not good for the team. I want to leave. And I think we saw Arkansas really like do well off the transfer portal last year. And then this year, I mean, Florida's trying to mimic that kind of scheme, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
That goes to, you know, Coach White. You know, you think about, because everyone was asking, and I'm sure for you guys, like you just said, Christian and Sam, like you had no idea how good this team was going to be or not. 8 new guys, you know, I think 5 out of the transfer portal and three freshmen. Like it's at that point, it's like, okay, do I believe in Coach White? Do I believe that he can because recruiting is hard, man. Recruit guys, it's so hard. It's like being a college coach. It's like you're selling your soul, but like you put so much stuff on the back burner to strive to be great at that. And sometimes it takes a long time to bust through the door. And I mean, I think Coach White has really found a great pieces. The fact that these guys, he brought in some veterans that understand the system and love each other and really are playing for each other. But, you know, this is year 7 for Coach White right now. Where do you see him as how he's, you know, performed so far after following up a Hall of Fame coach? Coach Spurrier always says, you never want to be the guy after the guy. But in my opinion, I think Coach White has fared very well for coming into a program and trying to pick up after – because Coach Donovan's last year, they were not good. They were really bad. So to think like instant success, I mean, Coach White's been to the tournament almost every year. He's won 4 games in a row in the tournament. It's when you look at percentages, the one thing I look at, he's got like a barely 40% against ranked teams winning percentage in his tenure. That's one thing you say, okay, he's not winning enough big games. But, the recruiting pieces, it takes time to get people to want to come in. He's doing really well. What's your guys' take on, the state of Florida basketball and Coach White, how he's leading the charge?
I know my freshman year, so the 2019-2020 season, there was, he definitely faced a lot of adversity because we were preseason ranked, I think like 22nd or 23rd or something. And they just didn't perform up to, what they thought that team was going to be. But they were just so young, I feel like, the only real maturity we had was with Keontae Johnson and then Andrew Nimbard. So Trey Mann and Scotty Lewis, they were young, they inexperienced, they might have been McDonald's All-Americans, but it's hard to coach up those teams, those kind of players, But I'm definitely liking what we're seeing with this team, and I feel like he definitely controls the locker room very well, and they respect him very much.
Was Kerry Blackshear on that team?
Oh yeah, there was Kerry Blackshear too.
Oh yeah, that was the year that they did not get to finish the season. He didn't get a chance. Mm-hmm. Quick question: what do you think about Kentucky basketball? Right, not just right now, in general. Last year, 9-16. How was your family last year? That's what I want to know.
They didn't
how
watch
miserable
it.
Was that for them?
They didn't watch it, and there was a lot of Fire Calipari chants. They were,
Really?
Yeah. So they kind of have in the Bluegrass State. There's a little bit of I don't want to say like they don't like him, but it's kind of like they're ready for another national championship, and if it's not coming soon, they're gonna be like kick him out, But last year was rough for them, rough for Duke, rough for UNC. It was just all around, like those top teams, they weren't doing anything big. So definitely brings in the question about the whole one and done thing, and if that is still going to be the culture, because we're seeing that the more mature teams are the ones that are making it to the Final Four, winning the national championship. So
well, that's an interesting piece that you just you brought up. Speaking about one and done, guys, think about NIL. So now you're telling me I'm projected to be this top pick, and the options are for me to go to who's terrible. I mean, New Orleans is bad, Houston is bad. Think of the bottom 7 teams in the NBA, and you can say, dang, I really, really don't want to go to any of those teams. I can stay in college and make $1 million, maybe even more doing these deals. I'm going to stay in school another year, get better. And now now that you have money as well, you can pay for these top level coaches as well. If you so choose, like, okay, I like what my school is doing, but I want to go get some extra help from one of these pro guys, these pro skills coaches that can help me get better and prepare for the NBA. That's a really cool, interesting piece. But that could help Kentucky, because maybe some of these players can stay. This is the oldest team Coach Calipari has ever had, the oldest team Kentucky basketball has had since 1958, I've seen. But Kentucky fans want banners. Do they appreciate what comes with that? Having top draft picks? Of course they do. Who doesn't? The results, only one. Hey, and that 2012 Anthony Davis team I can't believe they lost. They lost 2 games that year. They lost off of a crazy shot on Indiana. And then actually 2012, that Vanderbilt team was probably the best Vanderbilt team to ever come out. They just had one of the best Kentucky teams on the other side that they couldn't beat. But Christian, Sam, what are your thoughts on the current state of Florida basketball?
I think I'm gonna go back to what you were saying about other teams being bad. Like I think that's a statement to the transfer portal. Like Baylor could build an old team across years. Like we got to see them play in the O-Dome a couple years, and when I knew they were in the tournament, I picked them last year to win. I won the Rowdies group bracket.
Nice.
But
Let them know.
like they built around age, and I feel like that's what Mike White is doing a little bit right now, which is a great experiment because I feel like we've had all this like youth and athleticism that like Scotty Lewis would have on paper, but like to have like I feel like more secure and safe with the new transfers, like reading up about McKissick and Flanders, how good they are defensively and stuff like that, and how well they played across years at the schools that they did, and not being in big schools or transferring until later on. But like that means they're committed to their team, they're committed to the guys that they're around. Doesn't matter where they're at, they're still going to go out and ball as hard as they can.
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, would you rather take a gamble on a freshman, highly touted freshman? Trey Mann comes in and he struggles his freshman year. He's skinny. You guys know you come in as a freshman to college. It's a big transition. And if you're like, not to say spoon-fed, but you didn't really have to be super disciplined, kind of things. If you were this star athlete, most of the time everything's kind of given to you. You probably don't have to do like these day-to-day things or whatever. Then like you go to college and it's like, all right, we're gonna help you, but you still gotta like meet us halfway. Class, study hall, eating, working out, scouting, double practices, all that stuff. And then, do you not say waste your time? Because Trey Mann's second year was like, wow. And Scotty Lewis's second year, he still kind of didn't turn that corner like Trey Mann did. But then you got guys that can come in and play right away. Mm-hmm. Even a guy like CJ Felder hasn't really broken the rotation that much, he gets it. As far as he's working in practice, he's showing up, he's mature, he went to Boston College, not much success in Boston College basketball. But you got all these guys that can come and contribute right away and be mature and show up on time for practice. Like, no names, but how do you show up late to shoot around in the SEC tournament? I think that's a fair question.
I also want to mention Miriam Jones too. Like he's been composed, so it's like he doesn't stand out, but he's been putting up silent numbers and being a real workhorse on the offensive side for sure this year.
He's so even keel. Mm-hmm. Like he's just here like all the time. Like he'll take over a game if he has to, but if everything's fine, we're winning, he's not going to take bad shots. He's not going to force it. He's going to just do his job. And that's really cool when you can just turn it on like that.
He was a leading scorer at a Big Ten school last year. So
yeah, he was exciting.
I'm really excited to see his big breakout game. Both him and CJ Felder. I saw something on Twitter, I think after the FSU game that was like CJ Felder, or Mike White said something about CJ Felder being one of the best defensive players he's ever coached. So I'm excited to see them too.
Yeah, he's so athletic. He reminds me so much of Casey Prather. And the good thing with CJ, I think he's got 3 more years of eligibility. So him getting a chance to learn from Anthony DeRuggi, who's been playing since he's so athletic. Gosh, and he's such a good guy. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. He's so kind-hearted, and he just is such a freak athlete. But, before I let you guys go, we close up this awesome episode, I want to hear your favorite story. It doesn't have to be as a Rowdy, but just give me your favorite story as a Gator.
I think my favorite as a Gator, specifically like basketball related, was probably when we played Auburn at home, 2019-2020 season. I think they were ranked like 20 or 19 or something like that. But I think I camped out for like 26 hours for that game. Like I wanted front row so bad. We were getting free T-shirts. I was really excited. And I think we beat them by like 20 plus points. Bruce Pearl was like he was not doing well. Those players were so frazzled by us. So the energy was like insane. And that's when I just completely fell in love with the Rowdies.
That's awesome.
For sure.
I remember that game. They played so bad. It seemed like they didn't even want to be there.
Yeah, that was like a really good Auburn team too. And it was just, they completely just broke down.
Awesome. One of those moments you'll never forget.
That's either my best memory or when they dedicated the court to Billy Donovan. Seeing all the past players come back was really cool too.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Mine would have to be, yeah, that game was pretty amazing. That Vanderbilt game, to have everybody like that there, like to feel the like past history of those teams there, like you can feel how special like being a Gator is to them. And even though they're out playing wherever they're playing, you know, get millions of dollars, they still want to come back and see us all the time, which is cool. But dirt-wise, man, we've had so many good moments with dirt. We've gotten a couple guys to give us the finger and it got caught on TV.
Oh, I remember that.
He fouled out of the game. He was so mad that he fouled out of the game that he gave us the finger, and the camera had put it right on him right at the right moment. And we showed their coach after the game. He came up to the desk, like the announcer's desk after the game, and we all showed him the photo of it. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't like that." And he got suspended for the first half the next game.
I think it was all on ESPN too. I'm pretty sure the next day. The camera is always on.
Always on. The worst moment is always on.
I think my favorite memory is for the Ole Miss game my freshman year, Kayvon Allen hit a buzzer beater in overtime. I showed up to that game at halftime because I had an exam. So I was running from an exam, get to the basketball game to see a close second half SEC match. And then Kayvon Allen hit a crazy 3-point shot at a buzzer beater to win. And I just remember it was wild because I wasn't in front row or anything that game. I was like third or fourth row because I showed up late. My friend already saved me a seat, but I was going wild. That was the down of taking an exam that night to an up of hitting a buzzer beater, which
that's awesome.
Dang,
that's crazy. I'm sure like you'd never have any idea. But yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, for me, I'll go with a favorite moment for me outside of playing, you know, as a fan. I remember when I was I think I was 8 or 9 years old. My grandparents were season ticket holders for football games for a long time. And they were Jaguars and Gators season ticket holders for a while. And this one, they still got that original vintage, like 1995 Jacksonville Jaguars gear. So, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they got that original. So they would always go up there and tailgate. And I think we were tailgating in the Gail Limeran parking lot or something like that. We always go there. Just great memories there. That's kind of where, you know, I was born a Gator in that sense. I remember we were playing Vanderbilt and we had seats behind the field goal for that game. And I caught the PAT, which was pretty insane. And it was that I caught it and then I threw it back right on the field. And obviously was a little athlete at that time and I played baseball. And I just remember everyone was just like, "Oh my gosh, good throw. That was awesome." And from that moment, I was just like, I'm a Gator. I was chosen. God chose me to be a Gator. And I'll never forget that moment. It was so cool. And obviously through playing, man, playing on the court, beating Kentucky at home, my senior year by 26 points was insane. That whole senior year where we just won 30 something games in a row, set the record for went undefeated, first team to go undefeated in the SEC was pretty awesome. And, to close here, I'm going to say there's many more memories this year that are yet to be formed. Whether it's Colin Castleton 3-pointer that's going to fall this year.
It did against Emory Riddle. It was amazing.
Oh, it did? He can shoot.
It was unbelievable.
He can shoot. He can shoot the ball. once he knocks one down, he'll have the confidence. But yeah, I really think this team has a chance. We're in a tough league. We're gonna make the tournament. We're definitely gonna make the tournament. But Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, those teams are gonna be tough this year. But I can't wait to see how the rest of this year is gonna unfold. And obviously this episode is coming out on Thursday, so I'm saying it now. What's the name of this tournament we're in?
Fort Myers
tip-off and something
Tip-off
like
Classic.
that. Classic.
Fort Myers tip-off. I'm calling it. This is going to come out. We're going to be celebrating the Fort Myers Tip-Off Classic champion tournaments, and the momentum is going to keep moving forward. But any last thoughts before we close up, guys?
Yeah. Patrick, I want to ask you, what was your favorite memory of the Rowdies, when you were playing?
Okay. One thing that I really love that the Rowdies would always do is so silly. In warm-ups when we're at half court going across, they would stretch with us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was always so awesome, man. It was always so funny. They would do everything that we were doing. Hey, we're just warming up with you guys because we're ready to go.
Ready too.
You guys are getting ready. We're getting ready too. That was always great. Coming back after winning going to the Final Four, beating Dayton, going to the Final Four when the Rowdies met us outside at the airport. That was pretty awesome. Just I think they just knew the narrative for us was that we couldn't finish past the Elite Eight 3 years in a row, and then we beat Dayton, and then came back home. Went to Cantina. Went to Swamp, went to Cantina. Don't remember the rest. Well, Sam, Christian, Elena, this was a pleasure. I can't wait to do it again. Can't wait to see you guys here shortly. I don't know when our next home game is. I think it's Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday against Troy.
Wish you guys the best. Find some great research on these Troy. What are they? The Troy what?
Trojans?
Trojans? Duh. Of course they are. Duh. Yeah. We'll edit that out. We're not. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for what you represent, being the heart and soul of this team, of what it means to be a fan, what it means to be passionate and supportive, and part of a bigger purpose. The memories that you get to be a part of, the connections, I'm sure, the relationships you guys get to make, and also with the players. Really, really hoping that this team is going to make it far, so you'll have many, 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 many more memories for the rest of your lives. But to everyone listening, this was the Young and the Rowdies featuring the Rowdies, episode 12. Please share. Thank you to the Field of 68 Media Network for making this possible. We can't wait to see what this season is going to unfold, but it's going to be a fun one. Good night, everyone. Stay rowdy.